Hello and welcome to another video tutorial here at Geekatplay Studios. My name is Gary Miller and we are finishing up our final tutorial on character modeling. This will be the final one and we will be finished with this little guy. When we finished up last time we had yet to create the hat and the hair for our little fella. I went ahead and set this up to show you what I'm going to do to create the hat and the hair. I'm going to turn on wireframe mode. I'm going to zoom out, zoom in. There we are. That's the zoom level I want. If you look at his hat follows the same profile as his head. And to make the hat, all I did was just copy the polygons, the faces of his hat, and then I just extrude it up like that. And that's what we're going to set out to do. So to start off, let's select our little, let me turn off his scalp and the little strand of hair I made. I'm going to select the body. I'm going to Control D to duplicate him. Control D to duplicate him. I'm going to hide my original one. I'm going to come down here to the clone that we created. I'm going to turn off smoothing because I don't need all those polygons just to create this this little hat. And I'm going to select the turn off symmetry, select those, come up here, convert them to faces, and there's his hat right there. I'm going to come up to vertex modeling, click on extract, and now we have our hat. Come back to the body that we created. If I can select him, get rid of it, I don't need that. And this is his hat. Alright, let's re-enable the original body, and I'll go ahead and give this a color so that we can see it easier. I'll pull it up just a little bit. There we are. Okay, this is Lester's hat. First thing we need to do is we need to add some thickness to it. What I'm going to do is come up here to select faces. I'm going to hold down Control and hit A, and that will select all of them. Come up here, sweep surfaces, and I'm going to use my space bar, and I'm going to use the axial function. I'm just going to extrude it up. Just extrude it up just a little bit, about like that, just to give some thickness to his hat. Re-enable the body, see how this looks. Definitely have to pull this, put on symmetry. I want to pull this little edge out just a little bit. There we are. Now we have a nice, perfectly form-fitting hat. Now remember, Lester has a few levels of smoothing on him, maybe one or two. The hat does not, so it will be form-fitting when we put some smoothing on him, just like that. But I'm not going to do any right now. So let's work on making the hat a little bit more symmetrical. And this could come down a little bit. Center could come up just a little bit. Now here's the problem we're going to have if I turn on smoothing now. Enable smoothing. Look at the edges of my hat. I've pretty much lost the edge of my hat. There isn't a great deal of clarity in it. I want it rounded off. So what I am going to do is turn my smoothing off. First I need to grab those, and let's just stretch that out a little bit. Turn on smoothing. Now this is what I was talking about. I've lost my edge. It comes to a sharp point, and that's not very realistic. Maybe if I'm making a Donald Duck character and this would be his mouth, that might be passable. But for the hat, I want a little thickness to the brim of his hat, and I don't want it coming down to a razor sharp point like that. So this is what I'm going to do, and this is a great technique to use in all of your modeling projects because it helps to preserve the fidelity of your edges. If you've ever created something with low polygons and turned on smoothing, especially like a cylinder, the resolution increases and the middle of it looks fine, but usually the ends or the caps of it get all distorted. So to preserve the ends and make a nice radius to his hat, I'm going to select all the edges just like I've done. Zoom in here. I'm going to come up here to my edge tools. Now I'll probably have to do this twice because the tool doesn't seem to work for me the first time I start out. I'm going to select the first one. Now I got to find my handle that I pull on. That's it right there. I want to extract around. And what I want to do is essentially just double these edges. Now these are this edge here and this edge here were the two that we started off with. Now I've got two additional ones in the middle. So now when I hit my smoothing tool, it will round to here, it will round this off, and it will give me a much smoother curve rather than the two edges that I had. When I hit smooth, it tends to do that to it. So let's try our smoothing tool and see what happens. Look at that. Got a nice rounded edge. I preserved the integrity of it. And Lester's got a nice hat, and if we move it down on his head, it'll be pretty form-fitting. I guess if I select it, I think that was it. Plop it right down on his head, and that's Lester's hat. Let's go ahead and name this hat. I guess we don't need my original one. Now we will create the little button that goes on top. Come up here to 3D primitives, create a little sphere just like that, and just squash it down using your Y radius. If you don't use the universal manipulator tool like I use, you can come up here to scale and you can squash it down that way. But I'm a big fan of the universal manipulating tool. And I'll just move this into place. A little large. And put it right down there on his hat. Let's add some color to that. I'll pick a black. That'll work. So select those and group them together. Call that hat. Lock that into place. Now we have to deal with his hair. And the original character that I saw that I am basing this off of from what I had remembered of it. It was created probably in a program like Cinema 4D or 3DS, 3D Max, or maybe even Maya. It essentially was created in a program that has a hair module or a hair plugin that allows you to create hair. This program does not. It's not really designed for it, but there's always a workaround, and you can always make a program most of the time do what you want, even though it wasn't designed for it. So we're going to make some hair on Lester. I created a scalp for him that we're going to put our hair on, and all I did was copy the body and copy the sides of his head that I want to place the hair on. Now if you look at the scalp I made, it has more squares than his head does, and that's because I made the scalp at a higher resolution. So we will go back to the body, Control D to duplicate it, hide the original, come down here to his body, hide the hat, and now we need to figure out how much of his head do we want hair to be placed on. You can put hair on the whole thing, but for the sake of this tutorial I am just going to put hair. Let me enable his hat. I want hair. Let me first turn off smoothing. I want hair to go around here. So I will select these polygons. Don't need that one. And come up to vertex modeling, click on extract, and I will get rid of his body. I don't need his body anymore. Hide his body. Alright, now I've got his scalp. I'll re-enable his body so I can see. Now this is his scalp. It doesn't have enough edges on it. I wouldn't be able to grow very much hair with the method I'm using. So I'm going to come up here and click on my increase smoothing. Turn off my little lightning bolt, and now I've got a whole bunch more points that I can grow hair on. Let me turn his hat back on so I can see where his hair will come out of. Well, I don't need this selection of faces, so I can delete those. And I don't need these. Let's loop them, convert them to faces, delete those. Okay, this is where I want his hair to be, but I want it kind of tapered. So I will get rid of those polygons. Now it's going to start lower and kind of thin as it comes up. And that will work. I'm just going to create a different color for his scalp so it stands out and we can see it a little bit better. Okay, this is his scalp, and this is the little piece of hair that I made. And all I did to create this piece of hair is I just came up here and created an arc. I only have 6 points in it. I don't need to add a whole lot because the hair doesn't need to be of tremendously high resolution. So now to grow the hair on the scalp. Hexagon is not designed to grow hair, and so the only process I know of to do so is to use the copy on support tool. And the results that we are going to get from the hair is based on the orientation of the strand of hair that we're going to use to create copies of. How it is arranged when we go to make copies of it on the scalp will depend upon the results. So I have played around with it, and this is the orientation that I am comfortable with, that I like to grow hair on little Lester here. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and we will play around and I'll show you. So with our piece of hair selected, I'm going to come up here, copy on support, click on his, now I got to hide his body. With the hair selected, copy on support, click on his scalp. Come on now, work for me. There we are. Now, for whatever reason, we're not going to get the opportunity to use our fifth selection here, but it gives us four that we can use to see what it is, or how we want these pieces of hair arranged on his head. And like I said, depending upon the orientation of your first strand of hair that you're going to make copies from, you can get all sorts of funny results. I kind of like this one, and we're getting sort of a Liberace coif here, and so, sometimes you'll find that you really get some funny old man comb overs, or some Donald Trump looks. I like this one here. I'm going to go with this one, so I'll validate that. Hide the scalp, and I'll hide my original strand of hair. Now this whole group of hair, I will lock all of these so that I don't select them accidentally. So with my entire group of hair selected, I'm going to come up here to surface modeling, and I'm going to select thickness, and this will take a few moments depending upon how many hairs you're growing. It will take some time, and I don't need 8. I only need 4 because I'm going to add smoothing to it. The fewer number, probably the better. Okay, that's good. I'll validate that. Now I want to put caps on the ends. I want to close them off. I'll come up here to close under the Vertex Modeling tab, close all, validate that. Now with my group selected, if it's going to allow me to select it, again running video recording software, it does compromise the responsiveness on my PC. So with all of my hair selected, I'm going to come up here to smoothing, and look at that. Got nice little toothpicks that will be Lester's hair. So let's create a color for it. I'll go with black. And now we don't need that scalp. His hat's on. Where's his glasses? There's his glasses. So that's Lester's head of hair, and you can manipulate it however you want. Rotate it, plant it further down on his head, and just have fun with it. So that's the little character we created in this tutorial, based on this original that I created before the tutorial, and also based on, not that one, also based on a reference drawing that I had created. And so that wraps up this tutorial on character or organic modeling, and I thank you for watching them. I hope you learned something, and I hope if you have any better ideas than what I have come up with, any way to improve upon this, that you let us know in the forums over at Geekatplay Studio. So thanks for watching, and have a good day.